Welcome back to another Reddit deep dive episode, and in this video, we have a couple updates from previous posts. Before we begin, a special shout out goes out to our channel members who help support the channel. You can also become one by clicking the link in the description. This will allow you to sometimes view episodes either 1 to 2 days before they go live. Now that that's out the way, let's dive in. Before we jump into our first post, I would like to give you a warning. There will be mentions of harm towards animals, so if that is something you are uncomfortable with, feel free to skip ahead. In a previous episode, we covered a series of attacks that seemed to be aimed towards dogs in the Swedish town of Malmö. A link will be provided in the description if you would like the full story. To recap, a Redditor named Donut Horse began tracking and documenting the activity of an unknown individual who was leaving bread rolls out that contained metal shards inside of them. It appeared that the intent was for dogs to eat these bread rolls, causing them serious harm. Broken glass was also left around slides at playgrounds, as well as attempted arson attacks. These incidents were all put on a map, and a clear dead zone appeared in the center of it all. This gained so much notoriety that a webpage was created with information on what to do if your pet unfortunately ate something that could hurt them. And the last update was on April 18th of 2023. At the time, the identity of this individual was still unknown. But now, almost 10 months later at the time of this recording, on December 29th of 2023, Donut Horse came back with what is hopefully the final update to the story, and it appears as though the identity of this person may soon be revealed. Hello RBI, it's been a while. Things have been relatively quiet on this front for some time. The last incident was reported in April of this year, and since then, there has been a lull, but not anymore. Sydsvenskan, our largest local newspaper, published an article titled, "How We Stopped the Dog Tormentor." While it's a lengthy piece, the gist is that they received numerous tips leading them to a person residing in a central area of Malmö. According to the map, she lives in an area where no incidents have been reported. This aligns with our previous discussions, highlighting the classic pattern where perpetrators move to surrounding areas to carry out their crimes. The "don't shit where you eat" principle. Reporters from Sydsvenskan initiated a stakeout outside of the individual's home at night, hoping to catch them in the act. Unfortunately, this proved unsuccessful. They then enlisted the help of a young girl, accompanied by an adult, who posed as a salesperson and went door to door in the apartment complex. The girl eventually knocked on the door of the suspect perpetrator and asked if she was interested in purchasing the offered items. The person who answered the door turned out to be an elderly lady, appearing like any normal neighbor. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. They had a brief conversation and left. Later in an interview, the young girl mentioned that it smelled like the lady was baking. Following this encounter, the reporters confronted the woman directly, asking, "What is your involvement in this?" Naturally, she denied any connection to the case. Since then, all dog attacks ceased. There has been no activity for almost 9 months. Until yesterday, a woman was apprehended in a park on the outskirts of Malmö. Upon searching her purse, authorities discovered dough and fragments of glass. Subsequently, she was transported to the police headquarters, interrogated, and today she was formally arrested. Do I believe this is the same individual highlighted by the reporters in the article? No. Do I think she is responsible for all 170 plus dog attacks, suggesting Sydsvenskan error? No. What troubles me is that this person now in custody committed this act in the afternoon, when people were clearly present to witness it. It's worth noting that the OG perpetrator has never been seen before, and most incidents have occurred during late nights or early evenings. I will of course follow this development with keen interest, and I wanted to provide you all with an update. Because I use ExpressVPN, link in the description for 3 free months, I was able to set my server location for Sweden, and I attempted to find these news articles myself. I did manage to find them, but unfortunately, they were paywalled, so I was not able to read them. But seeing as how thorough our OP has been throughout this whole process, I think it's safe to take their word on the summary they gave us on the article. So now, it appears as if we have 2 potential suspects, both of which are women. It doesn't seem as if the person who was arrested's name has been released, so it is possible that it could just be the elderly woman after all. Thankfully, as the OP said, there have been no more attacks. And now, the residents of Malmö don't have to worry as much about their pets. I would also like to give a huge shout out to Donut Horse, who put a ton of effort into documenting the attacks and helping make the public more aware. If they ever do identify the suspect, I'll be sure to update in a future video, but for now, it appears as though the case is closed. While writing the script for this video, I was contacted by the OP of another previous post. This was the OP from the What Exactly Happened with My Dad post, in which they worked tirelessly to find out the truth behind their father's unfortunate passing. A link to the whole dive will also be in the description. To quickly recap, in 2001, our OP learned that their father lost their life. Being almost 9 years old at the time, their family kept the details hidden, but as an adult, the OP began to search for answers, requesting police records, speaking to family friends, and searching for news articles that could help bring them closure. In the last update, the OP discovered that their father was without a doubt a police informant at the time of his death. We also learned that the OP's family had been receiving death threats leading up to the incident. Unfortunately, due to a loss of evidence on the police's end, the suspects involved were not found guilty, and the OP was even able to track down some of the suspects' family members, but debated whether or not to contact them. And on January 23rd of 2024, I checked my Discord and saw this message. Hi, I just watched your Reddit deep dive number 20 video. I'm the person who posted what exactly happened with my dad. If you would like an update, let me know. I have a lot more info now, and just haven't had the time to actually sit down and make an update. This person proved that they were the OP without me even having to ask. And after some conversation, we got this update. Okay, where to start? Well, soon after the last update on my post, I found out more about his informant work. He had been working with the Oak Ridge Police Department for about a year. He had been caught doing a small transaction with an undercover officer. They had had some success with some smaller dealers and whatnot, but it was the early 2000s, and the war on drugs was in full force, so they kept pushing it. There were copies I found of handwritten letters he wrote to the people who were in charge of him, telling them, hey, they know what I'm doing. This isn't safe anymore. Apparently 2 days before he died, he went and did a deal with one of the suspects, where he found the wire my dad had on him. For some reason, the guy let my dad go that day. Not sure why he did, but my dad left and went and told the people in charge, they're going to kill me. They're going to come after my family. You have to do something. Hence the death threats starting around the time he died. According to my mom, that same day he came over and begged her to pack everything, her, my brother, and myself, and run off to Texas with him. They were divorced at the time. My mom thought he was back on drugs again and brushed him off. Understandable she never wanted to tell me that. I'm glad she has become more open since I started all of this, but we didn't go with him. He went back to my grandparents' house. The next 24 hours, I don't have much. Apparently I saw him the day before he died, and I don't remember it at all. After being told about it, I vaguely remember around that time, him acting weird and kept telling my brother and myself he loved us, which he did, but not like this. Apparently after we were back with my mom, he went to his friend's house and he wrote letters to myself, my mom, my grandparents, my brother, and his sister. I just recently got my letter he wrote from my aunt. I'm not going to go into much of what is in it, because I've still not 100% processed or worked through. But basically, he knew he was going to be killed. He knew it was coming and tried to get the police to stop it. My dad was clean at the time of his death, and that is one thing I'm proud of him for. In the letter, he also referred to it as the hardest thing he was ever going to do, but would do anything to keep us safe. It's really hard knowing that he willingly walked into being killed. In the hours leading up to his death, he went and ate with his sister, called my brother and myself, and had his mom go with him to get a pack of cigarettes from the store. The only thing she will give me is he came and said, "Ma, come with me to the store. I just want to spend some time with you." We went and got cigarettes. He talked to me through the door and said, "I love you, Ma. Like, I need you to know how much I love you. Take care of my girl. She may act like she doesn't need it, but she does. Take care of my boy. He's going to do great things one of these days." And that's the last time anyone ever saw him. Next time anyone knew anything was when my grandparents got called to the scene to identify his body. I still have yet to get any of the police reports or anything from them at all. I've followed up with requests. I've tried everything I know to do. I'm not giving up. However, I do think I'm dealing with a good old boy situation, and I'll never get the closure on that until they are all gone. And maybe not even then. The suspect that is still alive is out living his life. From the looks of it, he might have turned his life around. Not my place to judge all of that. I'm hoping I can find out more with some time, but that's where I'm at for now. Admittedly, when I first read this, I got a bit emotional. Knowing he was being targeted, the OP's father put on a brave face and spent time with those he loved. And sadly, despite notifying the police about these threats, he still lost his life. I couldn't imagine the pressure he must have felt. I was curious about how the OP's brother felt while going through all of this. And this is what the OP told me. Honestly, my brother was a little bit younger than me and doesn't remember my dad. He has been more sheltered and guarded than I have been. He is a lot more emotional than I am and tends to completely block out anything that he can't emotionally handle. He had a rough childhood and blames it on my dad. He doesn't talk about my dad and gets very angry when you bring him up, which is his right. We have had a rocky relationship due to the choice we both made in life, and for the sake of our relationship, I leave it alone. He hasn't lived the same life I have, so he doesn't need to have the closure. I went through a phase in my early 20s where I was on drugs, and basically, living the way he did. I got clean at 100% at 27. One of the things I learned about myself in rehab was I was trying to numb the pain of losing my dad. At 25, I tried to get clean the first time, but after being clean for almost a year, I relapsed. I've been in therapy for years, and this was something myself and my therapist have agreed is therapeutic for me. It's understandable that this event affected both the OP and their brother, and I do hope one day that he is able to talk about this with his sister. But for now, this is really good progress for the OP. Towards the end of our conversation, I asked the OP if they wanted to say anything, for those who have kept up with this story, and for anybody who might be going through something similar. It genuinely amazes me that the story has gotten this much traction. I really appreciate anyone who has taken the time to watch the initial video and the update. Thank you to everyone on the RBI who helped me figure out everything they did. To anyone who might be in a situation like I am, tread lightly. The information you learn, you can never unlearn. So make sure you are prepared before you decide to jump down the rabbit hole. I would also like to say to anyone who might be struggling, there is help out there. If you are struggling with a substance abuse problem, please reach out to someone. 1-800-662-4357. That's the number for the substance abuse hotline. They have resources. Life after addiction is a beautiful thing everyone deserves. No matter where you have been, someone loves you and wants you to be everything you can be. And that was the end of our update. But with a more direct line of contact to the OP, we could potentially get more information in the future. This story was moving to me because it shows how much love the OP's father had for his family and how he was willing to even pay the ultimate price to keep them safe. May he rest in peace. Christmas Day 2023. A Reddit user by the name AcceptableSun7113 came onto the RBI subreddit seeking help after they found a mysterious note inside of their bag. Pulled out a strange photograph and note from my backpack. I work part-time at a kid's gym place. I work at the front desk, and I have my backpack near my chair. I had just cleared out my backpack last night, got everything out, and reorganized it. Today I got home and decided to organize my backpack again, and I find this older photograph of a man with a note on the back. The note reads, "Hi Drew, I'm Will. You played baseball with my son Jake, remember? I miss you, cutie. Give me a call when you have the chance. Will." I'm super creeped out. I don't know the guy in the photo. I didn't play baseball as a kid. My first name is Drew. I had a few friends named Jake, but I don't know anyone whose dad's name was Will or anyone with that last name. I have no idea who this is. It wasn't in my bag before I left for work, only when I got home. And my coworkers are teenage/college-aged girls who keep to themselves, and we never interact. They were the only ones who could have had access to my backpack today. This is a picture of the letter, and the picture of the man. Some of you may recognize this man, because his real identity is Tommy Lee, from the band Motley Crue. Obviously, this has got to be some sort of prank, and many other Redditors would also theorize this. Do you have cameras at your work, so you can see who put the note in your bag? Same as what the other people said. It's probably a prank or scam, or something since the guy in the picture is Tommy Lee. My initial thought was that it could have been one of the kids from his job. Luckily, it only took 3 days before the OP came back with an update. Before I made the post, I asked my mom about it, if she knew who the guy was, and if she knew anyone with the name used. All she said was that the picture was like one of those printed out from the CVS or something. The day I posted about that, I went to work and asked if I could see the camera footage behind the front desk during my night shift. My boss let me watch it, but my backpack stayed by my chair the whole time. People passed by it, but nobody touched it, which just frustrates me even more because I swear that picture was not in my backpack before I got to work. I've been visiting at home for the holidays. My sister is 16, and she has a friend that comes around a lot. Today I was down in the kitchen having lunch. My sister and her friend were making cookies and talking about their Christmas gifts. This friend is a huge fan of heavy metal and Motley Crue, the band Tommy Lee is in. The picture the note was written on was of Tommy Lee. She got a few Motley Crue related gifts. I went and got the photo, showed it to her, and asked if she recognized the guy in the picture. Her and my sister looked at each other trying not to laugh before her friend confessed. Basically, the friend has a photo wall with pictures of Motley Crue, some as a band, and each member gets a collage. She had this one picture of Tommy on her photo wall which was used to write me the note. In her words, Tommy doesn't look like a rock and roll guy in that picture. He looks like a dad at a kid's sports game. They wanted to prank a random classmate and made the note look like a mysterious person who knew them and make Tommy Lee out to be someone's creepy dad. But they couldn't slip it into anyone's bag before winter break, so they put my name on it. The day I found it, my sister knew I cleaned out my backpack, but I always make myself something to eat before I head to work and eat it on the way. While I was in the kitchen and had my backpack near the door, my sister slipped it in real quick while I was preoccupied. I was relieved it was just them. Told them that I posted it to Reddit and people got a laugh on there, but gave some Big Brother advice. That pranks like that can easily scare people and could have gotten them into trouble, and they were lucky it was just me. They promised not to do it again. The friend told me about her gifts. She got the Theater of Pain and Dr. Feelgood vinyls and played me a few songs from the albums on Spotify. Not my usual music, but I honestly dig it and might rewatch The Dirt. So thanks to everyone for your suggestions. Not the outcome anyone was really expecting, but I'm relieved it was just my sister. Included was the picture of the photo wall. So there you go. A wholesome but fun ending to the story, which I can't say the same for our last post. The last post was uploaded onto the RBI subreddit on January 2nd of 2024 by a user with the name SmartFoodPopcorn69. Somewhat of a Reddit mystery to solve. This is going to sound so stupid, but it's been bothering me for a bit now, so please bear with me. A few years ago, I was browsing either r/urbex or r/urban exploration. Can't remember which one. I was gonna say this was sometime in the winter of 2021 or 2022. I saw a post that I couldn't tell was satire or not, but it seemed too odd to be staged as the OP's perspective was that they just stumbled across this. Also, it is the internet, so there are endless possibilities. The post in question was someone stating that they were exploring an old mine/cave/quarry outside of Minneapolis in the US, I believe. They weren't too far in when they basically found a guy who was a sex slave. OP shared a photo, and it appears to be inside of a cavern of some sort. There's a bunch of metal caging type work, industrial work, and there's clearly a guy bent over. Sex toys being used, wearing leather atop of a slab of concrete. The guy is just barely inside of the frame of the flashlight, but OP was close enough where you can see everything in detail. OP said they obviously got the fuck out of there and called the cops, but there was never any resolution before the post was gone. It seemed like it was happening in real time, and OP was on the scene a bit after calling the police. It didn't gain a huge amount of traction before it was removed by moderators, making it even more of a mystery, but OP stayed engaged with the post while it was up. After it was deleted, I kept up with OP's account for a bit to see if they'd post again about it, but they never did, and since then I can't remember their username. Obviously, it was likely some kink play going on, not thinking anybody would be there, and likely left as soon as the OP left. At the same time, OP never mentioned the second person being there, unless they were hiding, so I do wonder if something more sinister was happening. I still wonder about it, and if anyone else saw this post, or knows about this happening. I feel like it was a fever dream, but I did however screenshot the actual photo OP shared, my only proof it actually happened, but I didn't screenshot the actual post. There's nothing identifying in the photo that would solve anything about this, so I won't share unless requested because it's a bit graphic. I don't know if anyone will even be able to help, but even just a crumb of validation that I wasn't the only one who saw this would be enough. Luckily, with how obscure this post was, finding it would be easy. I remember that post as well. It wasn't on r/urbex, since I'm not subscribed to that sub, and wouldn't have seen it. Your description is spot on. No way. I'm glad I'm not crazy. It definitely originated on some subreddit related to urban exploration/abandoned buildings. Do you remember if there was any sort of follow-up? Edit to add, I saw the post when it was still under 100 comments, but I don't think it ever really surpassed that much as far as interaction on the original post. I found it in case you're interested. And just like that, user Rubes found a post made by a now deleted user that gave us most of the missing pieces to the story. It was posted on the Best of Redditors update sub. Originally posted on r/urban exploration by user Wink4206969, now deleted. This isn't much of a traditional update story, but it was something I found interesting when it happened. This is more the story of this cave and the man than the original OP. And while initial updates are given by the original OP, the final ones are given by locals to the area in a separate post discussing the incident. My friends and I just went in a cave. We found a naked guy with a cock on. My friend took a picture, thinking it was a weird sex doll, and when we kept going forward, it moved and mumbled. This post included a now deleted image, but I will describe what I remember. It was a quite wide area, filled with what looked like pipes holding up scaffolding or a floor. Off to the right was a man on all fours, in the device described in the title, facing away from the camera. Not much is seen. Some eagle-eyed commenters point out that it looks like he's kneeling on a blanket. The original OP adds details in the comments. It's St. Paul, Minnesota, across the river from Minneapolis, Minnesota. He kinda mumbled he must have heard us coming. I don't really remember looking at his face when he started to move. We all looked at each other and turned around and left. It was so fucking weird, bro. A commenter suggests, call the police or make a report to Crime Stoppers. No need to identify yourself if you don't want to. I think if you don't take some action and report it, you will wonder forever if you left some poor individual to a horrible fate. I will after seeing everyone say I should. I thought it was just some weird thing for his pleasure. They also add, this is the cave layout. You walk in, and that guy was on the right, and then there was a curve left. We first went left and explored the whole cave, and took photos which took like 40 minutes. And then we went back, and we went right. That's when we saw him. We didn't see anything out of the ordinary on the other side of the cave, so if they found something, it would have to been to the right. I doubt there would have been anything crazy. The only thing that would have been found that would create an ongoing investigation would be a dead body or something. Edit. We called the police, and they're on their way to check it out. I have told them the entrance, and they will go in and see. I told the police it was on Reddit, and they said they could try to find it here because I couldn't send them the picture. A guy's number from Red Wing called me to confirm where the entrance was. Someone called me from Red Wing to confirm the location and they're looking. 911 told me that they are trying to find this so they can look at what he looks like. Update. The cop is there, and he found the entrance. I'm texting him and he will keep me updated. Update 3. I called 911. I told dispatch where the cave is. A little later, someone called me and asked where it was because they couldn't find it. He finally texted me that him and his partner found it and they went in. No response back yet. It appeared as if this person could not find update 4, but we did get update 5. The police officer texted me at 1 a.m. saying he didn't find anything. So that does mean that this person was a real guy. That is the ending, and this is the final update. The person documenting this post would also include other Redditors' perspectives of this story. Some commenters doubt the story, particularly how the cops seem to handle the situation. Why can't you send them a picture? I've had cops give me their card with their department email on it, and I send them pictures. They would not use Reddit to find evidence. Do the cops work differently in the US? How are you just texting a random cop? LOL. Others seem to confirm it was plausible. Not to be a downer, but Above OP said that this was in St. Paul, across the river in Minneapolis, and the Minneapolis police got caught a few years back with a closet full of years worth of uninvestigated kids to add to their history of scandals. St. Paul PD isn't quite as bad, but I wouldn't put too much faith in them, as they can be a mixed bag at times. Had a Texas AG text me when they prosecuted the dude who stole my car and used it in a string of thefts. After this post, the original OP hasn't commented further, but a day later we had someone ask, Any update on the naked guy found in the cave that was posted last night? By user Maserati RX7. This post was also deleted, probably for being off topic. The top response, from a local confirming the story was true. I'm local. Police scanners said they didn't find the guy, which is good because the cave is popular as hell, and it was just some dude trying to get his kink on. OP probably got harassed by locals to delete the post. The cave has parties with scores of people in it. Some of those parties are niche. That shit's not that crazy in there. And also, by Littlefoot Urbex, tells the story of Candleman, a legend from the same cave, and concludes, in all realness, this cave was once a haunted house attraction. Since its abandonment, it has become home to bums and oddballs who spend much of their time scaring the crap out of kids who wander into the tunnels, whether for kicks or to scare explorers away from their campsite. They are usually a harmless addition to abandoned locations, their story sometimes being a little cherry on top of a very obscure niche hobby. It looks like the haunted house attraction part is called the Tunnel of Terror and was shut down in 2004 because it was a fire hazard due to not having enough exits. Once again, this is a repost. I am not the OP. I chose this story because when it was first posted, there was a lot of speculation on what was happening, and it really seemed like there was going to be no follow-up. I am glad some people who were locals in the area chimed in, and it was interesting to learn about the cave itself being no stranger to this sort of thing. I did find the picture, but obviously it is extremely graphic, so I will not be putting it in this video. That being said, it is not too hard to find, so research at your own risk. To me, it just seems like somebody was having a little too much fun in the cave, and as soon as they were discovered, they left. One user would comment this: I know the St. Paul Caves. I've been there many times. They have been popular hangouts for people forever, way before 2004, and that haunted house attraction. Fun fact, Al Capone used to hide stuff in those caves. It does not surprise me one bit that they'd find a dude in the cave trying to get his freak on. I first started going to them in the 80s. High schoolers go in them and drink, smoke weed, etc. The caves are made of some sort of sandstone, which is actually pretty soft, so parents are always warning their teens not to go in there, because cave collapse is a real danger. There are so many carvings, graffiti, etc. Also, pretty hard to get lost in the caves, because over the years people have marked everything well with arrows. The county is always trying to cover/hide the cave entrances, but it's of no use whatsoever. And that's pretty much it. We never got any more updates on the man that was in the caves, but I did look up what the St. Paul Caves looked like. This is them. Like the commenter said, they're a very popular tourist spot. Just be careful not to go at night, because as we saw just now, you never know what or who you might stumble upon in there. Leave a like to support the video, comment what story was your favorite, and as always, thanks for watching.